Welcome to the Sales Configurator tool tutorial. The Sales Configurator was designed for people who are highly skilled with Unreal Engine, as well as beginners who need a quick system to configure the entire scene all at once. Inside the Sales Configurator, you'll find a few folders. The most important ones are localization, which is where all the translations you make using Unreal's built-in automatic translation system go. Here in Sales Configurator, which is the main folder, there are also two main folders. The Configurator and the Demo Scene. The Demo Scene is the scene you're seeing here, which comes with the project. When you want to bring all your scenes or all your assets here, if you want to build your scene from scratch, you can delete this demo scene with no problem, because everything you need is inside Configurator. Inside Configurator, there are some folders marked here, and you'll go into Setup, and you'll find this Editor Utility widget that we created to make your whole job easier. You don't need to open blueprints, you don't need to open any widgets, you don't need to configure any data assets manually. It's all right here inside this editor utility. It's going to get a lot more updates as users use it, so leave your comments on our Discord so we can improve this tool even more. Right-click, and you'll come here to Run Editor Utility Widget. It will open up for you with a project, which is the project that's inside the demo scene. So when you bring your scene into this Unreal project and open our configurator here, you can go to New Project, give the project a name, and see that the project name will appear here inside Configurator, Data, Projects, and you'll see here that inside the Tutorial Tower folder, which I just created, has all the data assets and data tables you'll need. You can come here and change the names if you want. And Lumara Residence has its own too. There are some here, for example this one, which is a zone which doesn't exist here in the tutorial because we haven't created it yet. We'll do that during the next step. With your tutorial active, always remember to save when moving between tabs, because some items save automatically when created and others don't. So you might switch tabs and it won't work because the previous item wasn't saved. Inside the project folder, you'll have all the data for your project and your client. In this case, Tutorial Tower is the name that will appear. Since it has no space, you can change the space here, no problem, and save, and then it will automatically change here in the project folder. You can have a hero image for it. In this case, this is the project hero, not the hero for each apartment. So you can have several different images for each apartment, for each part you're going to configure. All these fields here have the correct description in our documentation. So I'm not going to go through them step by step here, but see that they'll all be configured here. See that the project here, which we worked on, has an unsaved symbol. You can click Save All or always come here and save. Don't forget to save before jumping to the next tab, because some of the items you created might not be created on the next tab. Under Product, you'll create the products your client will be able to access. In our ArchViz case here, they are the apartments. So you can have Floor Plan A, Floor Plan B, you can have House Configuration Type 1, House Configuration Type 2, and so on. You also have the data here that you'll fill in for your client. Something important you have to put here in the level path is the level that will open this product here. In our case, the level I'm using is the tutorial one. So you have to put the correct name here so it can open the level for you. This level can be opened in two ways: by the product the client owns. So if you're in configuration mode, they'll log in and it will automatically open their product. Or if it's in exploration mode, it will open the product cards so the client in the sales booth can choose the products they want to visit. Inside the Projects tab, you can open the client's data table here. In this case, I already have a default data table saved here. I already have 2 dummy clients here. Then you can select the product here. See that there are already several products I've put in from both projects. The products are here. So I can assign this product here to Mariana, and I can also assign this product here to Joao. And then this table can come from outside too, remembering that the system doesn't import or export data automatically in real time, because that requires an external plugin. And we'll show how you can link those external plugins in other videos that we'll also put in the documentation. The next item we're going to add are the catalog items. We already have an item table here that came along when we created the product, which is this one, DT Clients Tutorial, which you can also rename without any problem. You can also create another table, putting its name here and clicking this button. To add items to this table, you can either open the editor here and import the data if you want, or you can add each item manually. Clicking here on Add Item, then you have several options here for you to fill in. The most important one, which has to be unique, is the code for this table, which in this case is the row name you'll use. This name must always be unique. You can look at the Lumora Residences table to get an idea of how we created this table. Looking here at the Lumora Items table, see that we have Floor L Oak here, which in this case is for the living room, and we also have Floor B for bathroom. So you have 2 different floors here, so you have to differentiate which ones they are, even if they have variations that use the same materials. Always name your items here in a way that makes them unique, because it needs this to configure your project and make the changes happen, and also to calculate the values and register all the choices that were made. So I filled in a code here that is unique. We can click here on the thumbnail and choose a thumbnail for this item here. We have the name, which in this case is the name of the item that will appear in the system. So the client only has access to this name here. This code here is the internal code that the project uses. Here you put the name of the company that sells this item here. You can add which group it belongs to. We don't have any groups right now. We're going to create them here in the Zones tab. So you can come back here later or add each of the items to this group here. We have the unit type it uses, in which it is sold. So this unit will appear in the system for you. So whether it's in units, square meters, or linear meters, the value it costs, and this value will be multiplied by the area we're going to put inside each of the zones. We have the variant link here. If you don't know how to create variants, I'll leave the link to the previous video in the description where I show how to create the variant set. The whole system works without you having variants linked to the items. It will calculate everything correctly and generate a nice report.
But you need to add like a variant so that when you choose this item, it's in your scene.
So I have the counter kitchen here, which was the previous one I had already created in the video I mentioned. And inside counter kitchen, I have 3 solutions here. I'll set it to quartz and apply, and now it can change the item for me.
In description, you can put the full description. I'll just click here to save. And then we can go into the zones tab here. I've already created a zone here, which in this case is, I'll name it Kitchen Tutorial. And we have the display name and the zone ID here.
The zone ID is this name I put here, and it comes with an identical display name. You can change the display name here, no problem at all, because this is the name that will appear in the widget. We can add a group, as I explained earlier, and as it is in the documentation. The zone is the representation of the room. The items here, the groups, are the representations of the groups that can be changed. So you can have the floor group, the walls group, the sofas group. So I'll put it as countertop here. This group here, it's fine to have more than one name. I'll add a new group here. And inside the group, I can select those options I put here. There's only one because it's the only one I put in the catalog. I can come here and select an icon from the list here that best represents this group of ours. And inside the multipliers here, we have the symbol that goes on that side tab, which is the room symbol. So I'll change this to kitchen and see that it has two buttons here. Select in level, and it's saying there's no trigger in the scene. This trigger is the area that will make it so that when the user enters this area, it shows all the groups and all the items that are available. So if you don't have any triggers there, you can create one here and it will appear in your scene here. Look, DP zone trigger. See that it already has an access area here. You can position it. You can select the trigger box here and position it and modify its size. You also have the label, which is where the name of this room appear on your minimap if you put a minimap in your scene. And coming back here to our multiplier, see that the countertop has a multiplier that is set to a value of 0. I'm going to set the countertop here to 1.5. This means that when I look here in the catalog and multiply 300 by 1.5, it will already calculate the value. If it's a 30 square meter floor, you'll put the value of 30 here and the unit value of each square meter there. And inside the validation tab, when you click the validate button, it will search for you and say one item without a group. In this case, in our catalog, the item was left without a group even though we changed it here. So you can come here and choose a group for it and save. This happens when we switch tabs without saving. So always click save when you finish working on one of the tabs. I'll click validate here, and now if I go back to validation, see that there are no problems. Here it will show any kind of problem you have. If I go back to variant here, for example, and remove the link and save, when I click validate, it will show me that the counter doesn't have a variant link, right? So this validation tab will show all the items that have some kind of problem to make it easier for you so you don't have to keep figuring out why an item isn't working. Now I've created a few more items in my table, put in different values, and put a short description here. Your description doesn't need to be as short as mine. You can check what it's like in the description table of the other project, which is the demo scene project. And now we just need to test it to see if it's working. But we need to do an important step. Since we're not going to enter through any of the initial login screens, which are inside the level entry, we need to tell the game instance which project we want to read. This project is overridden when you enter using the level entry. But if you want to test your scene with the project you're using, you need to come here to Core, open the BP game instance, select the startup project, and here you put the project you want to test. As I said, this project is always overridden every time you enter through the other level, but if you want to test an apartment level without going through the login screen, then you have to change it here, okay? This is the only time you need to make this change, and we're going to change this in the next version of our configurator. Once that's done, we can press play. And when we enter our scene, see that I already have the countertop here. And when I make the changes here, all those icons I had put in already appear as thumbnails. The values I put in plus the multiplier, see that it's set to units. We need to correct that because these pieces here will be sold by the square meter. So I can close this, go back to the catalog, and change all of them from units to square meters. I'll leave this last one as linear meters so you can see that there is a difference in how it's presented, but not in the multiplier itself, because the multiplier it will use is this one. See that the teleport also works, but since I didn't position the point correctly, it ended up landing right here inside the sofa. And then as you can see, look, here it's showing as square meters, and the last one here is just as meters because it calculates by linear meter, but the calculation is still 420 times 1.5. And then you go into the total here, it's already has as square meters, and the last one here is just as meters because it calculates by linear meter, but the calculation is still 420 times 1.5. And when you go into the total here, it already has the summary of the total and has the item that was selected here, gray mist. If I close this and select the countertop and change it to Nero polished, see that it changed here too. So this will work for all the choices you make within the project. Now let's take a look at the demo scene to see how it's set up. Going back to home, I can select Lumora Residences here and see that I have several products here that I configured inside it. In our scene, only this apartment 704 goes because these two here are just copies of it with different names. You can go into the project here, you'll see that it has all these configurations I made. See that the products are all here, but I didn't put them in manually. Every time I go to the product tab and create a new product, this product appears here for you automatically. No need to worry. Here are the languages, so see that there's the label, which is the icon that will appear in the pause menu, and also the culture code, which is what Unreal uses to know what the language is. It has English, Portuguese, BR, and also Spanish. You can add more languages here. You can leave just one language if you want. Under product, here I have the products. I can switch from one product to another. See that for each product I put a different image here. They don't have any level path because they're just here for a demonstration, but see that they have different zones. This is important because in the entry menu, when you use exploration mode, it shows the icons for each of these zones here. Inside the catalog, this product here doesn't have an item table for it, so I'm going to open the one from the demo scene here and see that it loaded all the items here. Look. We have all the items here already. We have comments and everything else you can analyze. We have the zones, and then you can see that there's the sofa zone. Under floor, we have these options here. And then inside the multipliers, we have the living multiplier. See that it's saying there's no trigger in the scene. Why? Because this isn't the scene we're using. The scene that has these triggers here is the demo scene. So I can come here, change the scene, and when I go back to the zones tab here, it will check that everything is correct. Then the sofa has its multiplier. In the case of the floor, it has its own modifier too. The sofa, it has two finishes, which is the one from Casina and Auto. So this one also has its own multiplier here. The kitchen, bathroom, and we have the bedroom, which I put this bedroom in just for it to generate an icon, but I didn't configure it, so that's why it's marking here and also doesn't have any items for it, okay? If you select another zone like this one, look, the bathroom, the groups change, okay? So see that it has all the bathroom groups. Then if you go into kitchen here, it has all the kitchen groups. So the groups, they will appear based on what is selected here, and the bedroom doesn't have any groups. And when I press play here, it will load the same product for me that we had loaded before. Remember, I changed it in the game instance, so it's loading the tutorial product. I'm going to come here to game instance, and change the product to Lumora. Compile and save. See that the icons here? Look, the names will be based on the label positions inside each of the zones. So you have to configure each of the positions here the way you want. When I enter the living room, I can make the changes here, and these values will accumulate. Since we have several options here, it accumulates the values. And every time you select all the options within a zone, it will show you that it is complete. So let's go to the kitchen here. Let's change some choices here. See that when I select this last option, a little dot will appear here. See? The little dot appeared here, which means this product is ready. The bedroom doesn't have a teleport because it doesn't exist in the scene. There's no trigger for it. Here in the bathroom, we also have how to choose all the options, and it's complete. When I go to the total, it will show the summary here. How much is in the living room, how much is in the kitchen, and how much is in the bathroom. And when opening the summary, it will show all the choices that were made. So we have here, in the sofa, this was chosen, with this finish, with this floor, and so on. Since this apartment is small, the kitchen and living room would most likely be just one room, but I separated them just for demonstration purposes. And then when you confirm the order and click yes, it will show you here that it's confirmed. This will be saved inside a line of JSON code. So you can take this JSON and export it because it's inside your project's save game. Inside the documentation, it shows exactly where you get those values. And this is our configurator working. I hope this project here helps you a lot to sell new projects, that you manage to get new clients, and that you manage to increase your income even more by delivering more complete projects, because this type of project is highly sought after. But until today, there was no type of configurator with all of this built in. Don't forget to join our Discord to ask questions, to show us your projects, to ask for different updates that aren't there yet, and also to follow the development of the tool, because we'll already have some new update configurations ready. We're just waiting for Fab to release them for us. Thank you, and I'll see you in the Sales Configurator community. See you later.